Welcome to Friday Vibes. No scripts, just chat. We talk all things food and beverage, and so much more. Feel our vibe and search for Friday Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And make sure to give us a 5-star review. Now your hosts, me, Alex Baer with Genius Juice, and Wade Yeti. All right, welcome to episode 50. We are at 50. We've been waiting for this moment for the last 20 minutes of Friday Vibes. Welcome to our show. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday and a first week back after the semi-long kind of break for Christmas and also New Year's. Hope everyone's doing well. Wade, how you doing, buddy?
Good, happy. I guess that makes this our golden anniversary.
So yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
1 year.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, we have our year anniversary coming up, but does that mean this golden anniversary is 50 years? I don't know. We probably have to go.
Oh, I see. Okay,
yeah.
I got it now. I got it now.
Something like that, right?
Yeah, that sounds about
right. It's a milestone.
Right.
No matter how you look at it, it's a milestone.
Yeah, to me, like every episode is a milestone at this point. Waking up is a milestone, just given how every day there's always challenges and always things to look forward to. But yeah, we really appreciate everyone here for continuing to support our show, to be on here, engaging, doing comments. We'll shout you back out for sure. A lot of love coming at us, a lot of love going back at you. And we also have a lot of love with the swag that we're wearing. Quick reveal, Credo, plant-based spread, now in Whole Foods, and also it's in Sprouts nationally. That's my reveal here for the swag. Make sure to send us swag. We will wear it. I've been using this Genius hat a lot. Don't you want to see me wearing another hat? Send some swag, and I will sport your brand. What do you got going on, Wade?
We've got Riot. Right, look at here, Riot Energy, and I do have a C2O shirt here. Here it is. Yeah, so I got dual representation as well.
I would think how cold it is out there, it'd be triple.
Well, it just dropped below 50 as we were talking, because it's been pretty nice this week, but it just dropped below 50. I think it's going to be a little cold this weekend, so we're prepared. We are prepared.
Yes, always. Unlike the show, we're not prepared.
But we're not prepared for this whatsoever. Not even for a second. Not even. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah. Whenever Wade and I talk on the phone, but as far as planning for the show, 2 minutes before, and we take pride in the lack of preparation. We take pride. Yeah. So just a couple laundry list items that I want to go over. Number one, we got a great permanent sponsor of our show, which is V Driven, and I'll do the honors this week, Wade, on actually going through who they are, what they're about, who to contact. So V Driven is there's a whole paragraph here, but I'll just kind of shortcut it. They're a CPG partner for emerging purpose-driven brands. They fuel innovation and growth. They do everything from they can do your accounting for you. They can do your books. They can do your trade spend deductions to fight those if there's some pesky deductions that are not right, which seem to happen in this business. They also are, I think, first and foremost, a sales organization, so they can connect you with many different buyers and others in the industry that are making decisions to bring in items. They have a great relationship, strong relationships. Luke Abbott is the CEO, who formerly ran a distribution company that sold to KeHE, so very successful businessman. If you'd like to reach Luke, it's Luke, Luke .Abbott, ABBOTT, at V-Driven, V as in Victor, Driven, DRIVEN.com. And we are now narrowing down our Vibeman or part-time admin being provided by V-Driven. So that'll be happening, I think, in about a week. It's been a long interview process. We've interviewed in Chile, we've interviewed in New Zealand, we've interviewed here, we've interviewed Philippines. So we're almost there, right, Wade? We're narrowing it down.
Well, we've had hundreds of applicants, Alex. So it's been quite tedious for us to work through. There's there's people, as you mentioned, worldwide that want this position. So it's taken some time to work through all the applicants and get the right person. But we're nearing the finish line. I think you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Last lap. So also, before we shout out the comments, I'd like to mention on a completely unrelated note, which is about the Genius Juice crowdfunding campaign, which just hit in the new year. So this is brand new. It's on republic.com, which I just posted the link there in the comments. What's so cool about this is you can invest in our company and you become a shareholder in Genius Juice, like literally right away. It's pretty cool. So this campaign is set up through the SEC, so this is official. It's legit. It's an actual fundraising capital round. And why raising capital, you may ask? Well, number one, we're a CPG company, right? That alone explains it. Number two, we are launching in a major club retailer. We're working on that right now. So getting some funding behind that to make sure it grows considerably. And we are also launching a new wellness shot line called the Genius Boost, which is great, more for cognition, focus, and acuity, and more for mental health versus just immunity shots, which are great, but we're going in a really new direction with our shots. So for all those reasons, we're raising money. It's on republic.com. Become a shareholder in Genius Juice. Go on there now and please support us. I really appreciate it. Okay, so some comments that we're going to get to here. Stephanie Hui, greetings, Alex, Bear, Wade, Yenny. Happy 2023. Happy 2023, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's right, because our last show was right before.
It was.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So Hank Watt, good seeing you, Alex and Wade, number 50. Good stuff. Dima Mararu, Guru Energy, happy 2023. Happy 50th. Stephanie also vouching for V Driven, permanent sponsor supporter. Yep, we were very proud to have them as a sponsor, Luke Abbott and the rest of the V Driven family. Marcia Yensko. I'm going to try to pronounce what she said.
It's Dev, just say Dev from Terveda. I was going to say, I won't attempt the last name. Dev C. Yeah.
Well played, Wade.
Yep.
So deduction support. I mean, that's a big one right there, man. I mean, there was an article that was released on LinkedIn from Yuval from the Seven Hats podcast, which I think you were on that, right? I was on that. You were on that. Have you been on this podcast?
I don't think I've done that one.
Okay. So yeah, Yuval Sadiq. He has a Seven Hats podcast, and he also has a business now on fighting trade deductions. That's literally one of their main focuses. And there's a statistic out there, just for all the brand owners that are seeing deductions coming through, that 25 to 30% of all deductions can be fought and could be bogus. That's a lot. That's a big number.
Right.
So make sure to watch those deductions closely, folks, because every dollar counts right now. Even in inflation, dollars still count.
You could probably say that even, Luke and his team obviously could take care of that for you, and we'd encourage you to do that. But also if you're not interested in that, or you're too strapped and you need to take care of it, or you're really watching pennies. I got to tell you, if you don't have someone on your team kind of devoted to that piece of it, you definitely should have. You definitely want to have someone on your team with accountability for deductions and monitoring that, and as in using Alex's words, fighting that, because otherwise, if you're just signing checks when bills come, you're going to be in a world of hurt real fast.
Exactly. And it's not that these companies are trying to do fraudulent deductions, like Unify or KeHE. It's just that they're managing millions of brands, and they have a standard process on how they do deductions. And sometimes there's occasions where you're not supposed to get the deduction, but you got it because they just kind of send it mass to all these different brands. And those are the times where you want to fight those. So, by the way, just a voice and a person from the past we haven't seen on here for a while. He's a OG Friday Vibe supporter, and that's Snort Press.
That's right.
He asks, very cool regarding, I think, the Genius Juice crowdfunding campaign. Can non-Americans invest? Yes, they can. There are parts of Canada, I think, for whatever reason, Republic it blocks them out. I don't know why. It's some legal SEC issue, but a majority of people around the world can invest, even if you're outside of the US. So yeah, just if you go to the link that I posted, it should allow you. And if not, all good. So a couple more. Michael Movitz, Branjectory, Happy New Year, Alex and Wade. Best wishes for happy, healthy, and successful 2023. Congrats on number 50. Almost got it. Can't look over Daily Crunch. They're crunching it out.
I'll be right back.
Okay, I think he has something he's going to show early for the stuff we love. Happy New Year. We just got started with Yuval with Promo Mash. They fight
pretty sure I showed that, but I'm pretty sure I showed that on a previous episode. But if I didn't, this is Spice Chai Pear.
First time I'm seeing it.
Yep, seasonal flavor from Daily Crunch. I'm pretty sure I love Laurel and Dan and Diane, the group at Daily Crunch. Good folks doing good stuff, but that's the seasonal flavor right there.
Love it.
I'm pretty sure I showed that. Do you remember? Did I show that before?
It's not really ringing the bell, but a lot has happened since the last time you may have showed it.
You've had a kid. It's, no big deal, right?
Yeah, it's been kind of a, Men in Black thing where the pen went off and cleared my brain for the new year.
Right.
There were things to remember in 2022 and things to forget. So not to say Daily Crunch is one thing to remember for sure.
Exactly. Yep.
So good stuff. So that's Laura Orley. I'm just going to read a few more comments because with the new year, I just want to make sure everyone is heard. Kenny Hausman, sorry, buddy, about your Bills player. I heard he's still in the hospital, but he is slowly getting better. Just our wishes and prayers and love goes out, to him. And how do you pronounce his last name again? Because I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but anyway, so Kenny, you can post his full name and pronunciation, but he's in the hospital now from collapsing on the field, a Bills player. Britt Erickson, Daily Crunch is fire. What else? And then Michael Movitz again. Congrats, Alex, on your family expansion. I love how you brought a business term to personal. I love that. All right, so new year, new us. New show, same show. So how was your New Year's celebrations? What'd you do and how you feeling?
It was really good. We as we got back. So New Year's Eve was that was Saturday. So we got back late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning from California. And I worked Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, I meant to plug this on the not a plug really, but just kind of give it a shout out. Last week on the show, we went to Raleigh to see one of our favorite performers. We've seen him in Memphis, we've seen him in Ohio, we've seen him in Michigan. I'm probably missing a state or two, but we saw him in Raleigh last week. Marcus King, and he's a young, at this point, I'd probably say mid-20s performer. I refer to him as this generation Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's just a super talented guitar player, just awesome musician. But he played last Saturday at a venue in Raleigh. And the opening act was a guy, his name's Myron Elkin, and I think he either just turned 21 or is turning 21. And he was the opener, and it was really cool because I got to meet. I've met, I should say, Marcus multiple times with, by fluke at one of the shows we went to, and then one time we got VIP and got to see him because of that. But I was able to. Myron was at the merch booth, and I got to meet him, the opening act, and another one. This is completely off the cuff, but one of my favorite guys on TikTok, just a comedian / performer / TikTok personality, if you will. The Cornbread Cowboy, and cowboy spelled with an I at the end. It's not a Y, it's an I. It's really backwoods humor as far as his gimmick is. He wears like 80s, 70s and 80s Bush Light and Skull and Beach Nut Tobacco t-shirts, and just has some different verbiage on his TikToks. He's really funny. He by chance he was at the show, so I got a picture taken with both the Cornbread Cowboy and Myron Elkins, the opening act, and I was on the Cornbread Cowboys Instagram story, so it was kind of fun. We had a great time ringing in the new year, and then it was back at it hard at the office on Tuesday morning. So it was eventful. What did you do, Alex?
I mean, in the eyes of any outsider looking in, nothing. We just laid low. It was raining. It was, as everyone knows, there's this enormous. And by the way, it's Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin. And I just reading 7 hours ago, breathing tube has been removed. His life was saved on the field by trainer Denny Kellington. So I just wanted to make sure I got all the facts right for that. And then also Kenny, who's a big Bills fan, Kenny Hausman, saying how much it means to him and the Buffalo, the community for the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo, the city itself, has been just outstanding in supporting this athlete that just collapsed on the field.
I was going to say it's really interesting too because obviously they postponed, immediately stopped the game, and now they've just announced they've canceled it altogether, which is really interesting because that game had some pretty significant playoff implications. So I kind of expected that to reschedule or something like that. But one of the most interesting posts I've seen this week was from Mike Cesario with Liquid Death, suggested that they, in honor of John Madden, John Madden passed away in the last year or so, I think.
Yes.
To simulate or I don't know if he was suggesting to simulate the game on Madden on the Madden video game, or whether he was suggesting to have a Bills player and a Bengals player play each other as opposed to the teams playing each other on the field. But Mike posted that this week, and in fact, I think the last 24, 48 hours, and I saw, I don't know, there was probably 20, 30 reposts of that post and a ton of likes. So I don't know if that's realistic or not, but in this day and age when a game is pretty significant in terms of financial impact, whether you're the home team or the away team, to cancel it altogether, it says a lot. And the other thing is if I read it correctly, I think what they're going to do is they're not going to play the game, but because the ramifications, obviously, if you win the game and you had a home field advantage or something like that, they're talking about, as opposed to playing where they would have played, that'll be played neutrally. Like a game will be played neutrally. So example, if one of those teams, as opposed to them being at home, they'll play neutrally in a playoff game. So there's a lot going on there. And I think it says a lot about the NFL, as far as taking care of its own and as far as not necessarily thinking with dollar first, as, making sure that, whether it's Buffalo or Cincinnati, going to a neutral site, potentially, in my mind, you're going to lose a lot of money instead of having it on a home field, right? If that makes sense. So there's a lot wrapped up around that. So it's good to see the humanity aspect of things put first. So it really gives you some faith as far as that goes, because they certainly weren't thinking dollar first. They were thinking about their people and taking care of their own. So kudos for doing the right thing.
Yeah, and I think the NFL has been under fire for years about this, about concussions, about injuries. I mean, the nature of the sport is very brutal. I mean, it's guys that are going up against each other at full muscle and full speed and clashing, and heads clashing and shoulders clashing. So I think inevitably injuries are going to happen, but this level or magnitude of injury, right, where the cardiac arrest or illness, I should say, cardiac arrest and having to be taken to a hospital and almost dying, they handled it the right way. And this reminds me of the NHL. I don't know if you remember. I don't if you're. How much are you in the NHL? Do you watch the games?
I'm from Ohio. The Blue Jackets came along.
I guess the Cleveland.
No, it's Columbus Blue Jackets.
Blue Jackets.
But even they haven't been around forever. They came around kind of late in the game. So
yeah, they were kind of I guess an expansion team, I guess they called it. But anyway, Yeah, I think they might have been the North Star. No, that was a Canadian team. So, but anyway, long story short, about 15 years ago, Luc Robitaille, who is a Hall of Famer, was on the Kings. He became the commissioner for the NHL, just this veteran. And so one of the big things is that players were getting concussions because they'd be up against, let's call it the glass, and this is actually glass, up against the other way. And if you can see their numbers, their full numbers on the back, and they get checked into the glass, their head was going into the glass straight. And that would cause all sorts of concussions and injuries in the NHL. So they made a rule, again, not sure exactly when this came into effect. You cannot check a player if you see the numbers and they're up against the glass, because the rate of getting a concussion, the likelihood is higher. And so they got so strict about it that if they caught a player that was intentionally doing it, like trying to really get that player down up against the glass, and it was very visible that the player up against the glass was this way, was facing that way, and they had plenty of time to see that coming, to see that this player was facing that direction, and they still checked them into the glass, they could get suspended the entire year. Wow. Just like that, like zero tolerance. But obviously the difficulty of that is, like, if the player is skating this way and suddenly they turn at the last second and then they get checked, right? So there's a lot of like gray area with it on whether they deserve to be suspended, whether it was an accident. And I mean, if you think about hockey, that's that part of the game is so brutal, because these guys can be going 20, 25 miles an hour on skates, maybe even faster, full speed. And some of these guys are born to check. They have huge shoulders, broad shoulders, broad chest. They can just use all their weight to slam a guy into the glass. So, but I'm a hockey fan growing up because I'm in LA, and you got the LA Kings. I remember when the LA Kings played the Montreal Canadiens in the finals. Remember the whole thing, and we're getting off topic, but in '93, when Marty McSorley got caught with an illegal stick. I remember all this, but
I don't. The biggest thing I remember about the Kings is when they got Gretzky, but that's about the extent of it. Yeah.
And that was when they got the closest to back in the 90s getting, winning the cup. Right. And it was 93. They were in the finals with the Montreal Canadiens, and they were ahead, I think, 2-1. And then, like, at some point, Marty McSorley, one of their star players, illegally curved the hockey stick too much to catch the pucks, and to catch the puck, and they caught it, and there was a penalty shot, and then that turned the entire series. Wow. So anyway, the Kings eventually won in 2008 and again in 2010, but it was a long drought, just like the Cleveland Browns, right? It was a long.
No. The difference between them is that the Browns have never won. They've never won this. Yeah, they've never won. So, and this year will be no different. So, we'll look forward to training camp in August, because that's pretty much where we're at. So,
yeah. So anyway, sports kind of a detour here, and Dima Moraru also saying that's the last time Montreal won the Stanley Cup. I think we're probably going to be top 50 in Canada this week, just because of mentioning hockey.
I could see that. Happening. Yeah. We probably should already be on the charts in Canada, but that's besides the point, right?
Yeah, we were on the charts for North America. We were, I think, number 90 overall for business and entrepreneur podcasting the very first few weeks of the show. So thank you, North America. Thank you, Canada. Thank you, US. So anyway, yeah, going back to what we were talking about 10 minutes ago, New Year's, it was good. I'm going way back here, and stayed in. We watched the Miley Cyrus concert for about 13 minutes, and then I turned it off because it was terrible.
Was that a live thing, or was that
I think it was pre-taped for East Coast.
Okay.
Like countdown. It seems like everything is for the East Coast these days, like all the countdowns, like New York, Times Square.
Right.
And then like California, everyone else sees it on repeat, Right. And but also what's cool is they have the floats at the Rose Bowl, which is like, as you remember probably being, in San Diego, you remember that happening. And we went the day this is just random facts, but usually the Rose Bowl, which everyone watches across the country with all the floats, and it goes downtown, it goes through downtown Pasadena. It typically is never on a Sunday. For 160 years, they've never had it on a Sunday. New Year's Day floats. And this year, New Year's Day landed on a Sunday. So they moved it to Monday. They're like, we're not doing it on Sunday out of tradition. So anyway, it was a good New Year's. I'm actually, I think like many entrepreneurs, I don't know how you feel, Wade, but I was just like, let's fucking get this going. Let's get into 2023. Let's get back to work. There's a lot of challenges in 2022. And for the first time in a few months, I'm excited again to get out of bed and get back to work. And we got some exciting things happening at Genius. So how about you? How are you feeling about 2023?
It's interesting because I had a post this week, just about coming back, and it's the longest amount of time I've taken off from work since I moved from Louisiana to California. I took a full week off to make that move, to drive across the country, because we drove that time as opposed to flew. And, so it's been the longest amount of time I've taken off from work in 2.5 years. And I was ready to come back. I mean, it was nice to have that time away. We got to travel, we got to do things, got to see things. But it's kind of nice to come back. We came back Tuesday, had Monday off for the holiday, and came back Tuesday and just kind of reset and refresh and just kind of digging back in. I think you look at the last 6 weeks or so of the year, typically in this business, at least on the corporate side, typically it's pretty quiet. You're not doing any reviews. You're not doing, you're kind of, your holiday plans. Obviously you're into February, March planning. There's nothing really pressing. And a lot of people in the industry take that time off. So it's usually a pretty quiet time on this side of the desk. So now it's full bore, right? We're in category reviews. We are looking at at this point, we're planning second quarter, and there's a lot going on as far as that goes. So I feel good. A lot of the conversations I've been having, I see David just joined us. I had a nice talk with him today. It's been a while since I've seen David from Dream Pops. But excuse me, a lot of talk about Fancy Food coming up. Right behind Fancy Food is the UNFI show in Orlando. Right behind that is Expo West. So a lot going on here the first few months. I know we've had conversations about, mindsets and philosophies with regards to those big shows. But regardless of your philosophy and what you think, there's a lot of buzz about those shows coming up. NRF. I got a lot of people hit me up if I'm going to NRF. So just a lot of people, I think, COVID, while it's still in the news here and there, as far as trade shows, as far as traveling, as far as people getting together, I think it's knock on wood past us, and people are excited to get back together, do the trade thing, and really drum up business. I think that's where everyone's mindset is really, how do we keep going, and how do we grow ourselves in 2023?
Yeah, and I know we've talked about it a lot, which is how to navigate through 2023. I mean, there's articles coming out, this week, today, whether it's Elon Musk, which is not the most popular guy right now, and others that are saying that this recession, because of all the cuts that have been, I'm actually terming this like a recession now, for a few different reasons. Interest rates are high. I mean, home sales have dove just tremendously. I think, or 20%. Home values have dove, but also I think the biggest thing that really is tough is the cuts. The employee cuts that are happening right now. And my friend has been at Salesforce forever. My friend from college. I was in the same dorm as him. Johannes, and he was actually used to live in Germany. He, grew up in Germany, came here, and he became a huge success at Salesforce. He's still there, but he posted on LinkedIn for the first time in a long time that they're cutting just 10%, just And I mean, you're talking 8,000 to 9,000 employees, people with families, people that depended on that income to pay their mortgage and their food and their electricity bills. So it's getting real now. You know, you got Compass, you got Salesforce, you got Amazon that's cutting, you know, more jobs than they expected. I think a lot of these tech companies overhired during the pandemic because of the demand. Maybe not overhired. At the time, it was the right amount of hiring. And now, because things are just going down, demand is going down for this, and values are going down for these tech companies. They're losing money hand over fist, and there's more competition. They don't need all these people anymore, and they're just letting them go. And I think, I have people that I know that still have money in Tesla, and they invested in Tesla and they kept it in there when it was all the way at $1,200 a share. And now, it's been split, but it's equivalent to like 480, Wade.
Right
now. It's fucking crazy how much these stocks are dropping.
Oh my gosh. And it's certainly not Tesla, but I invested very, 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 very little in the Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame in Canton. Because their whole thing was they're building a resort, like an area. If you're familiar with the Football Hall of Fame, it's always been this building, right? And so they're building a hotel and conference, all this stuff. And I was like, oh, that's a surefire thing, right? I mean, they're getting thousands upon thousands of visitors a year, and they recently did a split. And oh my gosh, there was a minute where that stock, had I sold it when I probably would have made 10 times what I invested. But now, literally, I think it's worth nothing. I mean, it's probably I don't know, probably a 8.5, 11 piece of paper is worth more than that stock is.
Right.
So it's investing is tough right now. It really, really is. And you talk about job cuts, and I've seen that. I saw the Amazon thing. I rarely a week goes by that I don't have someone reach out to me, and I'm certainly not going to name names, but that they're in transition or looking for something, or something has come up, and especially in CPG, there's a lot of that going on right now, and it's tough. And I think what that tells me is if you're in a good position, batten down the hatches, be smart with your pocketbook and your expenses. We've talked about this inch wide, mile deep thing, but beyond that, take care of your people too, right? I mean, as far as if you have good people, let them know they're good people, right? And take care of them, and make sure you're keeping them with the market. And because even though places are cutting back and trimming, there's also places that are poaching people as well. And as tough as times are right now, now's the time you should be looking at your policies with regards to leaves and benefits. And there's a big play right now on maternity leaves and different things. If you're following the same playbook that you've had for the last 20 years, you need to revisit it and do it fast, because whether you're talking about flexible vacation time or time off, as I said, I referenced maternity leave, paternity leave, what have you. You can't do what you've always done. And it's really important right now to make sure you're looking at those things, because the market's changing. People's motivation, that's changing rapidly as far as what motivates people. It's not just about dollars. If you don't have a diversity, inclusion, all those things, if you don't have a policy or some kind of company outlook as far as that goes, that's a strong driver right now. There's so many things that the job market right now is looking for. You have to have those things on your radar. If you don't, you should look at getting a consultant or something that can help you with that, because you need to protect your brand and your workforce and make sure that you're lined up for success down the road. And that's what people want right now.
Yeah. I think it's definitely good to double down on your staff and take care of them. You may not be hiring a ton of new people, depending on what situation you're in, but I think it's always good to check in with your team, that have a founder, like the founder personally checking in, giving them a call, making sure that they're feeling okay, reassuring them that, hey, you're good, like you're not going to get let go or something, even though there's challenging times. And I think also paying people on time as well. I mean, that's such a simple thing to say, but especially contractors and vendors that are with you every single day and you rely on them to help run your business, because sometimes you hire contractors instead of full time. You want to make sure that everyone that, they get paid. And I think, Matt Weiss, what's up, brother, with Rind Snacks, which is a fast growing dried fruit snack. And also they have dried fruit chips that are now out, their new line. I wouldn't say new anymore, came out, I think, a year and a half ago. He's saying it's tough and scary out there, no doubt, but moments of max fear are usually the best contrarian indicator. And I agree with that. Like sometimes you want to get aggressive when everyone else is actually concerned or scared. I think from a stock standpoint, not to, act like we're some stock trading financial podcast, because we're far away from that. I mean, we have, not as much expertise as we do in CPG, but sometimes when you're scared is the best time to go forward and go for it when everyone else is pulling back. So it's a very, I think we talked about this, so I won't get too repetitive, being very strategic. I feel this year, although you want to grow revenue, start looking below the line more. Everyone's focusing on top line. A lot of people focus on top. How much revenue are we making? Are we doubling every year? I think your investors, if you have investors in your brand, they, even if you're not doubling year over year, they're going to be happy to see that you are, not losing as much money or potentially improving the bottom line and you're now profitable. So these are all things to really focus on. And a couple more comments I want to read as well, because we talked about Salesforce. Stephanie Hui, first time in 20 years that Salesforce has had to cut jobs. So, but you look at it, man, like I look at the positive that for manufacturing and other areas, food, manufacturing, people are getting hired,
Right.
I mean, I'm seeing people getting hired left and right on LinkedIn as well. And, there's no shortage of jobs. Like, I think take Coconut Cult as a really good example. They're growing right in this environment.
Right.
So, I used to kind of, give myself excuses. Like last year, you probably picked up on it. And a lot of people did, like, man, Genius Juice is expensive. It's $6 and And like, how are, $5. That's a lot of money compared to other products that are out there, like other products are $3. But then you look at a case study like Coconut Cult, that's $10. And people are still spending money when they really love an item. Like,
right.
And I think that goes for everyone here that's watching the show. If you really fucking love something and you're going to buy it, I mean, we love these. I'm going ahead on my stuff we love. This is $8, Snow Days Pizza Bites.
Those aren't Totino's.
Those are not what?
Those aren't Totino's.
Totino's. No, is that the main?
That's General Mills pizza rolls, the cheap pizza rolls. Yeah.
Got it. It's like Hershey's and Midday Squares, right?
Right.
Right. So I've actually never had Totino's, but this bag is $8 and we just love it. So I think the philosophy is people, especially in natural at a Whole Foods or Fresh Market or Jimbo's, if they really love something and they want it in their daily life, they're going to spend the money. So that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Coconut Cult is kind of the gold standard as far as that mindset goes, as far as paying a premium for a product. But I think it also speaks a lot about being true to who you are, right? I mean, they have premium ingredients, Snow Days, that you have there, the same thing. And if you cheapen your brand, you have to think about how that portrays into retail from a standpoint of, and I've talked about this all along, if you're in, you reference, I'm going to throw out Erewhon. I'm not going to use the companies I work at or have worked at. You look at Erewhon. If you're an Erewhon with, let's just say, Coconut Cult, for example, at $10 a jar, whatever that number is, and you want to get in, again, I'm just making stuff up, Walmart, and you have to be at $4, you probably don't want to use Coconut Cult as your brand because you've cheapened yourself. You've already built up your brand value and worked through that whole piece. So why would you use that same brand and cheapen it with the same quote unquote product, right? In a retail, it just doesn't make any sense. So I think, if you're a brand out there and you're looking at expanding, it's about picking the right accounts that we talk about this all the time, but picking the right accounts to grow in, but also about what it's my philosophy when I bring a product in, I want to build that normal shelf retail. What I want to sell that product at every day. If that number's, again, making stuff up, $9.99, I don't want to introduce it at BOGO or $6.99. I want to build that $9.99 because that's what I want people to expect to pay and want to pay based on how good the product is. And then if we can do a hot promo at whatever that number is, BOGO $6.99, the customer recognizes that value because they're used to paying and want to pay $9.99. And so you have to build that brand value and somehow, some way, get that price point to where you want it to be, because no one survives, whether you're the retailer or the brand, no one survives if you're selling more product on promotion than you are everyday price, right? And I mean, Alex, what do you shoot for with regards to promo sales versus regular sales? What's your percentage target?
I mean, as far as how often I'm doing a normal price, how often I'm doing.
Well, if you sell 100 cases, how many of those do you want to sell on promo versus regular?
I mean, with our kind of product and how we want to really condition and make sure people understand it's a premium product, that's not just going to be on sale all the time. Without looking at data, I would say every 100 cases, 10 of them max. Right. Like enough to get someone who may have otherwise not bought it because they look at the price, but they don't know the value. You want to get those people, but essentially, like, the best people to win over are the ones that, as long as they understand what the product is, they're going to buy it.
Right.
They don't have to be convinced. They don't have to have their arms twisted. The biggest battle is getting them to be aware that it exists,
right,
and be aware of what is actually inside the packaging or inside the bottle, which is why the Costco model works so well, where they just sample the hell out of it. And the people that sample it are like, well, the price is reasonable and I love this product. I'm going to buy it in bulk. Why not? Right. I have a family. So I think, like, I'm a big fan of getting loyal fans and loyal customers that already love everything about us. They're obsessed about it, and it doesn't have to be on sale for them to buy it. But every once in a while, sprinkle it in to get that new customer.
Right. Well, you mentioned the Costco model, and I think that's a good example with kind of that mindset, because it isn't necessarily just about price there. You're luring people in with that sample and putting it in their mouths and saying, oh, I like that, I'm going to buy it. Right. They're not necessarily focused right away on the price. They're focused on, this tastes good. It does whatever, attributes that it may or may not have. So I'm going to buy it. And that product might not be there the next time they come in. That's the other catch is, right, there's some urgency created there, that you're putting it in their mouth. They're trying it. They're enjoying it. And they know that they need to pick it up because the Costco's business model isn't, they don't necessarily have those things on the shelf 365. So you don't know if it's going to be there the next time you come around. So they've created that urgency for you to pick it up right then and there.
Exactly. One really valuable thing, I mean, if you look at, have you seen the movie Glengarry Glen Ross before?
I'm sure I have, but it was probably a day or two ago. Yeah. Okay. It's been a while. It's been a minute.
Yeah. So, the famous scene with Alec Baldwin, it's a movie about a bunch of sales guys at a New York office that are selling land. And then they have, in the very beginning of the movie, Alec Baldwin comes from corporate to give them a speech. It's the coffee for closers, the famous speech. Right. Put the coffee down. Coffee's for closers, right? ABC, always be closing, right? Someone just posted that.
Right.
And the big thing that I think resonates for a lot of, at least for me, being a sales guy, right, just, offering products to people, is that typically consumers are not telling you the truth to your face. Like they say they can't afford it. They say, oh, there's something going on. I can't, sometimes they tell the truth, but a lot of times they're just wanting to be nice and not piss off the salesperson and be like, I can't buy it because I don't have the money, or they just want to get out of it. So it's an interesting philosophy where people have the money to spend on your product. I do, right? If I go to a store and someone's selling a cup of soup for $10, I'm going to say, oh man, it's too much money for me. Then I go spend $60 playing golf on the weekend, for 4 hours of golf. So people have money. It's just getting to the right people. I think that's a big deal. And also giving them a reason to buy it. What makes you unique? What makes you different? What are the benefits to this? Because I can promise you, like, again, with these case studies of Coconut Cult and others, like here's to me one of the biggest case studies that I've seen locally here. Urban Remedy. Okay. Mm-hmm. They have their for those that go to Whole Foods, they have their fridges, right, in Whole Foods. They have their juices. They have their bars. They have their ready to eat. These things are expensive, okay? Like their juices are like $8.99, okay? They're $8.99 for the juices. I mean, that's more than Evolution Fresh. That's more than Suja. They have their bars that are $4 each. I mean, that's expensive. They have their ready-to-go meals that are $10 each. They're very small, high quality, organic, nothing wrong with it. The food is great. I'm a big fan of it. It's because of where they're placed, and it's visible, and it's right near the registers that people are grabbing it. And I'm seeing people of all walks of life, all income levels, that are buying Urban Remedy at $9 a bottle. And I think it's because they do a great job of marketing, telling you what the benefit is, but they also have the merchandising and the shelf space to get your attention. So I think going back to it, half the battle is getting in front of the person. That's half the battle.
Right. Well, that's certainly prime real estate too, as well as where
you're probably pay a lot of money for that.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but I was going to say, typically, especially if you're talking conventional, which our audience kind of caters back and forth to natural, organic as well as conventional. But if you're talking about conventional, that's pay to play space. I mean, that's high end dollars, and I mean, when you talk about CSD, carbonated soft drinks, Coke, Pepsi, 7-Up, and then you talk about front end cooler or front end register space with candy bars, gums, all that stuff. That's pay to play space, especially on the conventional side. So that's where I go back to the crawl, walk, run. If you're thinking about being up there, you better have the checkbook ready, because that's not going to come easy.
Yeah. And the other thing that Stephanie is saying here about Solti is, if you can't get the immediate shelf space, like you can't pay for that, or you don't have the money to pay to play, you have to have great packaging and a great product, to get people to see it, buy it, because you have one shot with that customer. You have one shot where if they take a chance on you, they see your packaging, it looks beautiful, they see the benefits on the packaging. Oh, I want to try this. And then they buy it. They got to either love the taste of it or love the taste, and also feel the benefit after they consume it. And so Solti is such a great example of that, because I'm a big fan of Solti. I love that it's glass. I love how premium it looks. I love how it tastes, and I love how healthy and clean it is. And they do a great job on separating themselves on the shelf. And also it's the quality is incredibly high on it. And it's more expensive than most of the other, like smoothies and juices that are in the set. Most of them are $3. They're $4.49. So I think that's another. I mean, I remember, not to go off too much on tangents, when we were in Publix, right? When Genius launched in Publix, and I went out there in 2020, the Solti shots launched in Publix across every store, 1,200 stores, and they were $3 for a small 2-ounce shot. but right place, right time, right packaging, and great benefit. And they succeeded there. So sometimes you got to get a little lucky, but there's definitely a formula for success. I mean, what would you say is like when you see a product that's new, limited budget, on a shelf, they just launch on a shelf, what usually causes them to be successful in your experience?
That's tough.
Underfunded small brand.
That's tough. I mean, especially in the market that I'm in now, because of, what we're talking about and how many stores and whatnot. So in my past, I would have said demos, sampling, put it in people's mouths. And I'm not going to deviate from that because I think that's still the way to succeed, especially in a smaller account. But when you get in a larger account, man, there has to be some kind of marketing put behind that to get people to pick it up, because I can't simply put you on the shelf in 160 stores and expect you to succeed. I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, I say that, I mean, sure, there's a fluke here and there, but you can't just throw yourself in the middle of a set and expect things to just land in people's carts. It just doesn't work that way. And it's a good segue, because I'm going to flip the switch and throw things back on you. Where I was going to go was, I was going to say with you, with category reviews, and I'm not trying to change the subject. I'm just trying to think of when you look at 2023 and you've got a new line launching, you're trying to get expanded distribution on existing product. What is your strategy with regards to category reviews and where you want to go in 2023? And obviously, I'm looking at some of the people that are commenting here. We've got some emerging brands and people that are growing. What are you going to do, and what's your gameplay for 2023? And what advice would you give everybody that's listening as far as how do they tackle gaining distribution in 2023?
Yeah, I mean, less is more. Less is more, and it's gaining distribution is one strategy. To me, it's digging. We talked about it, digging very deep in the right accounts. And I mean, we have one region of Whole Foods that, was doing more business than a launch in a conventional account of 400 stores, right? So it's undeniable when you look at those numbers. And then when you have a product that's doing better in retail and a certain retailer, you're not going to have chargebacks, right? You're going to clear the shelf and it's going to be ordered every week or every 2 weeks versus once a month. So our strategy with our smoothies is we don't want to go everywhere right now. We want to go to the customers and accounts that make sense. We are not shy to put in less SKUs as well. I'd rather have one great selling SKU than 3 mediocre, or 1 great and 2 mediocre. I'd rather just have 1 if needed, maybe 2. Crawl, walk, run. Start with 1. Let's see how it does. Then go to 2. Then go to 3. I know shelf presence is always challenging, but maybe get a couple slots for 1 SKU and see how it does. And then for the shots, we're literally starting local. Everything's local. Like where we're also planning, an East Coast launch, but in a very, very specific area where we've already dug incredibly deep with our smoothies. Like we know the accounts, we know the people, we know the buyers. We have a great sales team out there, Boost Sales, that represents a lot of other great brands in the New York, metropolitan area. But my vision for 2023, especially with new lines, is I want to be able to drive down and see the customers. I want to be able to go into the stores, talk with the buyer, talk with the dairy manager, talk with the general manager, and then also set up a little table and demo for 2 hours and just see people's responses. So that's, I think the objective too, is that when you start small, you get great feedback from consumers before you start going to Walmart and Target. Because, you can echo what I'm saying because you have more experience here, but that product, the packaging, the taste, the benefits, the product fit in the market, that has to be so tight and well placed. When you start, you have to have your shit together and down when you start going to the big boys,
right?
Or else you're just going to get eaten alive. So.
Well, in putting a retail spin on this, when and I'm putting my my past hat on, not my current hat, but looking, I was very, very cognizant of what the Walmarts, the Targets of the world sold, right? And what they sold it at. So if it got to a point where a brand was in a Walmart and Target and I wasn't competitive, it's probably not a product I need to carry anymore, or I need to evaluate my strategy with regards to the product. Like I can't just say blindly I'm going to eliminate anything that they carry. Rather, if it's, especially when we're talking in the scope of what we're talking about, natural, organic, specialty, right? If a customer can buy your product, for example, at Walmart for, I'm going to throw a number out, $3.99, and based on my margin requirements, I have to carry it at $5.99. All I'm doing is contributing to the perception that I'm high priced, right? And I don't need to do that. I need to offer differentiation, just like, when we talk all the time about getting on the shelf, you have to offer differentiation. I need to offer differentiation with my product offering. If I'm offering the same assortment that, again, a Walmart, a Costco, whatever is offering, then I better be price competitive, or I better offer some service that is going to have customers come into my store, because otherwise, how do I justify charging I'm using your product as an example, $2 more a bottle than Walmart is? It just doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, it just drives people away from my store, because they're realizing right away that I'm high priced. So I think that's the catch-22 as you as a brand grow and look at where you want to be. I, as a retailer, am going to look at what is my price on your product versus competitive price outside, especially as you grow into conventional channels, because at some point there's kind of a line where, I think everyone has kind of this threshold that they're willing to deal with as far as over competitive pricing. But once you cross that line, then you have to decide how important that product is to you, because it's not worth jeopardizing the value proposition you have to your consumer base. I think, I use Erewhon again as a gold standard just because of who they are and what they do. No one goes in and Erewhon and expects to get the lowest prices, right? But at the same time, if Erewhon, if I went into Erewhon and I could get, I'm making things up left and right, a juice, fresh press, blah, 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 and I can get it at a Target for $2.99 and it's $9.99 at Erewhon, that's a little bit hard, right? I mean, and I think that's why I've used this analogy before. I know when I was in Louisiana, we were getting to the point where we were training our stores to use their cell phones to scan products and see what the price was on Amazon. Because if you think about it, I can go on this right here, right now, and I can have something shipped to me in the next 48 hours at no cost if I'm a Prime member. So if my price to physically drive to a location, put it in my cart, go through all that process, if I'm not within striking distance of that 48-hour ship to my, then what am I doing, right? Why do I carry that product? So that's the thing you have to consider as you go into the omni-channel, DTC, Amazon, all those different things. If you aren't offering some value to your box retailer, it's probably going to hit you at some point in the long run, because I think the awareness of the consumer is just, if it doesn't hit everyone, it will at some point. And right now, with times being the way they are and tonnage is down across the board, everyone's looking at that. Everyone's thinking about that.
Yeah. Well said. And I think the brands, I know we're running short on time here, but the brands that are really winning are the ones that are scaling. And I say that, other brands are winning too on a local level, but the ones that are really able to go to Walmart and to Target and to CVS are brands that have enough volume and economies of scale to get their price down. And so, I think I think brands have a responsibility that once they go big, they should drop the price somewhere, like in the natural stores. Like if they're at six, and then Suja did this, right? Suja did this where, when they first launched in Whole Foods and, out of San Diego, they were $8.99, right?
Right.
But then they started launching new lines and getting their economies of scale when their brand went into Kroger. I think they launched in Ralph's. That was one of their first launches in conventional, locally in Southern California. And then once they found success in conventional, they lowered the price in natural, and it kept going down on both sides. And now they're just kind of streamlined, affordable across different markets. So that's the way to do it. Because, if you're at, I've seen brands where they're high-end brands, I won't say which one, where a bag of nuts was still $9 at like a Vons, and they got discontinued. Even though it's a big brand, they got discontinued because no one's going to pay $9 for nuts unless it's like, unless it guarantees that you can fly like Superman or something. So I want to get some comments here before we go to our stuff we love. I was just kind of smirking and smiling because there's all these Glengarry Glen Ross references. ABC always be closing, but the one that really got me, it was the guy that was threatening the sales team that if you don't start selling, you're fired. So Alec Baldwin said to this big sales group, first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado on the wall there. Second prize, set of steak knives. Third prize, you're fired. Actually, Glengarry Glen Ross is free to watch on YouTube.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to watch that at some point for sure.
Yeah. I watched it over the holidays. I'm like, this is so good. Couple more before we go to the next segment. Tao Garden, 100% Alex Bear. This is, our leads are shit. That's also from Glengarry Glen Ross. Let's see. Agree with Wade Yenny. That's Stephanie Huey about your comment on the price parity across natural and conventional. Dima Bararu with Guru Energy, especially looking at discounters like Grocery Outlet. That's, when Grocery Outlet is really turning everything on its head right now, because they're just like, I'm seeing, it's another whole episode we can talk about this, but I'm seeing brands that are selling at a very similar price, but lower than natural. But then I'm seeing the ones that are like significantly below natural, both.
But they're only players on the West Coast, though. They're non-existent the rest of the country, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're really only they're based in NorCal and SoCal, so probably less of a concern versus like Kroger, right? Or Safeway, right? Last one. Actually, I want to go to Laura's. Daily Crunch is $5.99 at Meijer for 5 ounces. We don't promise you will fly. Yeah. I think $5.99 is good. Like I could go 5 to 6 for nuts, like high quality. But when you start going to 10, it's like little squirrely there.
Well, I think it's important, and I don't want to take away from Stephanie's comment because I support and agree with it 100%. But what everyone needs to realize is different retailers have different profit, and this is what I talk about, and I post all the time when I talk about know your retailer. And know what I don't need to justify a 40% margin on my end. I don't need to justify a 50, 30, whatever it is, right? But know your retailer. So when you pitch to them, you know what their expectation is. And the fact of the matter is, when you're talking about a Meijer, a Kroger, several of these conventional retailers we talked about, their margin targets are significantly lower than someone on the natural organic specialty side. So if you're pitching the same product with the same promotional cadence, with the same selling mindset that you are conventional, it's a recipe for, you're going to go one way, you're going to go the other. Ultimately, you're not going to do well in both channels because the one channel is trying to hit their target margins. The other one is significantly lower, and they don't, it's like oil, it's like fire and gas, right? It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And that's what you need to think about as you're selling and what your strategy is to grow. You need to have that in mind so that you have a strategy for conventional, you have a strategy for the other side, and hopefully they can commingle and live together so that one isn't killing the other or vice versa. And that's, I could go on that all day. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. It's definitely a to be continued conversation because there's a lot more to say on that strategy. So let's put a pin in conventional, natural, different strategies. How do you combine and streamline it? Really good stuff for episode 51. So, all right, let's go to stuff we love here. And and then here's Stephanie's comment. So I'll go first because I have a lot that I'm going to blow through here. So snow days, I mean, when I first saw it on the shelf, I'm like, oh man, is this really going to be healthy? Right? And this is also, going to turn it down a little bit, but this is also owned by Human Co. Q-Bar. So this is one of their brands.
Did it originate that way, Alex, or did they acquire them?
I believe, don't quote me on this, but that they created this within their incubation company, I believe. I don't think it was separate and then acquired.
Okay.
But you're from Austin, so maybe they were, I don't know. Everything's organic, everything's clean. There's no weird shit in here or no monodextrose or anything like that. It's very clean. That's that. It's starting to drip. It's been out of the freezer. So also these, I finally got these, the Sundays Zero Sugar Cream Cookies. My buddy over there, Jody Polischuk, these are good. I think they can be a little sweeter, but they're still excellent. They're zero sugar. The cream is amazing. The texture is great. The sandwich, the crunchiness. It's like the texture of an Oreo. It's really
the packaging's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
This will definitely catch your eye, wherever you go. The other one that I think is great packaging, I don't know if you've seen this brand.
Yep.
Bird.
Yep.
I didn't like their cinnamon one. I'm going to come out and say it. It didn't have enough cinnamon. Maybe it was a bad batch. It didn't have enough cinnamon. It just tasted very bland. But this one I love. This is it's organic cereal. This is $5.99, which actually is affordable. Actually, I got on sale. So it's normally $8.99 for this, $8.99 for a box of cereal. And the ingredients are organic cassava flour, organic coconut flour, organic honey, organic coconut sugar, organic cacao, organic coconut oil, Himalayan pink salt, and vanilla.
Pretty clean.
5 grams of sugar per serving. So that's Lovebird, and I got this at Sprouts. So that's fine.
All right, so I had one. I'm going to save it for next week because I had 2 samples. One, Renee and I crushed the bag really quickly, and we put our trash out. So I can't show you the empty bag, but I'll show you that next week. Okay. So I'm gonna revert. I got 2. I'm gonna revert back to my Daily Crunch, and I've got the Spice Chai Pear, but all their products, the Nashville Hot is the one that, for me personally, I hang my hat on because it's so awesome. And I don't pull any punches. I was on the SKU. They were in the SKU incubator program, and I was part of their advisory group. And so it was so much fun to join that team and talk to them. And we still do a regular meetup. Great product. I believe wholeheartily in the brand and the team. And I think they're doing great things. So I just had to shout them out again. But this one is really interesting, and I'm going to see if I'm going to post a link right now because I'm not good at this, Alex. This is no script, just chat, and I'm not supposed to prepare for these. So
not at all.
I haven't prepared for these, but I'm going to show you this brand, and so. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to post a link here real quick. So this isn't the product this is the product, but it's not the particular SKU that I want to shout out. I'm going to put in the chat right now. So this is, and I think you may or may not be familiar with Christine Tron over at Get Nuff. So they originally started as a refrigerated product with, different Asian influences as far as their bars go. They belong in the space with Perfect Bar, Midday Squares, all those things. But they pivoted, and I'll let you look at their website to get all the information. They pivoted. They still are creating those bars. That's still something they're doing. But they came across this cracker, and it's gluten-free. It was ways to help save a local bakery, and I think the story's on their website. But they created a hot honey cracker. It's the world's first, to our knowledge, my knowledge, the first hot honey cracker. And sadly, once again, I ate the entire package along with my wife. So I can't show you. I showed you the everything bagel, but the link I put up is the hot honey cracker. It's gluten-free. It's made with almond flour, relatively clean as far as if you look at the product, almond flour, rice flour, tapioca starch, olive oil, bagel seasoning on this one. But I mean, the hot honey cracker is something that I haven't seen anything like it. When we ate it, and I saved a tiny bit and I took it to work so some coworkers could try it. They were like, wow, this would be really good on a charcuterie board. And yeah, it's pretty significant. So check the link out that I sent you. Christine Tran is great people. I think they're in Austin, Texas. I believe they're selling them in central markets right now. Mm-hmm. But the website, I put the link up so you can check them out. Cool. The key is hot honey as well as gluten-free. And so it's like win-win, right? I mean, hot honey's a hot button right now, no pun intended. But then you put the gluten-free aspect into it and you've got a home run. So
yeah, I'm a big fan of gluten-free crackers in general, and like Simple Mills with almond flour. And
yes.
I love all things gluten-free crackers. So all good stuff. I'm still waiting for a Nabisco. There's like the Nabisco crunchy crackers, the smaller ones. I'm waiting for that to be done really well in a gluten-free format. I still have not seen that yet, so that could be a good idea for anyone. All right, so that is stuff we love. That is a mouthful, literally, for both of us on different brands, different products. Check it out. And Tall Garden, going to shout you out. Sponsor our show. You're on here, you're commenting. I don't think it's been a while since you've been a sponsor. I think you were a sponsor a while ago, possibly. I got to look back at our Friday Vibes archives. But reach out to Friday Vibes 100, Tall, or anyone, if you'd like to sponsor our show with product. Also, if you'd like to send us samples or swag, what do they do, Wade?
FridayVibes100@gmail.com.
That's it. 100, like 100%. LFG, let's fucking go. FridayVibes100@gmail.com to sponsor, send us swag or send us samples, and we will gladly try it out. And we'll get you and mention you on the show so people in Chile and New Zealand can go out and buy it.
So that is a good segue into this week's sponsor. And I don't know that he's on today. He should be, but I don't know that he is. But it's Derek Brawley. And if you don't know Derek, we have so many regular viewers, listeners, what have you, that tune in every week. And we love all you guys and contribute. But Derek is one of the ones when I count on my hand how many I've actually met in person. Derek is one of those people, and he took the time to drive here to Greensboro, and I think I was able to spend maybe 15, 20 minutes with him grabbing a coffee about 2 blocks from my office. And Derek, when you talk about good people, is he's the definition of good people. He lives the lifestyle, he breathes the lifestyle, he is the lifestyle. And he represents and is part of Prana Snacks. And they are Canada's #1 organic snack brand.
That's huge.
What's that?
Number one.
They're number one. They're #1 organic snack brand. They're on a mission to promote wholesome living through good nourishment. And their vision is to build a virtuous circle between people, planet, profit, transforming the way food is produced and consumed while promoting health and well-being for all life on Earth. And I can't say enough about Derek as a person and Prana as an organization. Is I talk all the time about being transparent and practicing what you preach and all those things. Prana, and specifically Derek, lives that 100%. Derek is the guy in a kayak, a canoe, on a river picking trash up. He's the guy composting in his backyard. He lives that lifestyle. He lives it. He practices it. So when you talk about organic and you talk about sustainability, Prana and Derek are those perfect examples. So they're giving away to whoever wins today one of their deluxe chocolate Kilimanjaro trail mix, one of their chocolate covered sesame snacks. Think healthy Rice Krispies covered in chocolate. That's chocolate Sumsuma. That's the second item. And then the third item, and I haven't seen this one yet, but it's a brownie crunch granola that you add water to.
So
it's like
good.
a morning thing. And everything I've had from Prana has just been off the charts. So thanks, Derek. Thanks, Prana, for sponsoring us. Alex, do you have a question? Do I need to come up with one?
I have one that is probably the hardest question I've ever asked in the 1 year or 51, 11 months and 20 days that we've been running the show. And I got to say too, that as far as the Prana snacks, there's a reason why they're number one. So clean.
Yep.
Not overly salted, not overly sugar, just the perfect amounts, well formulated. Their sesame bites are the best, like bar none, the best. And they have ones with the Suma chocolate in it. And that one is also just fantastic. It's like guilt-free deliciousness. I mentioned for our New Year's, I watched something. What did I watch? What did we watch? And how long did we watch it for? Got to get both of them. Start scrolling back to whatever in this episode that I mentioned that. I think people are smart enough to know I didn't mention it recently. So it was somewhere towards the first half of episode 50 of Friday Vibes. One more time to win the Prana snacks. What did we watch? My family on New Year's Eve. And how long? I'll give you a clue. It sucked.
I'm inclined to answer this because I could use some Prana in my life, but
I would love to answer this.
Yeah. I'm not going to. I'm gonna let someone else answer it. But I see Derek's on here. Oh, look at that.
I don't know why it's spelled like that. Okay, so I think she just inversed the spelling for fun, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I was like scared first. I was like, is Stephanie?
Oh, look at, I'm inclined to give Ginny something just for that answer. Just it's wrong, but I'm inclined to give her something just for that answer. That's fabulous.
Yeah, I didn't even know that she was performing.
I don't know that she was.
Yeah, it's just the main thing. 15 minutes.
Right.
So it's a very, very tough one. I mean, if you had your guru energy, you'd be having more, like Dima has it. Did everyone drink their guru to prepare for that question?
Right.
Never too late in the day for a guru. All right. So Stephanie so far has said the artist, even though it's inverse spelled. So you got the clue. How long? I'll give you a clue. It was under an hour. I mean, for how much, yeah. Okay. We got Ginny. So it was Miley Cyrus. Now, how long did I watch or did we watch it for? It wasn't that long. Might stun people here.
I think I know the answer, but I'm not eligible, so I'm going to let someone else answer it.
All right, it was under 30 minutes. There it is. Jenny, she got it. She probably went back to get it.
Wow, she got it right, man.
13 minutes. And honestly, that's being very, I think that included sleeping in front of the TV. So Jenny, you win the prize, which is the Prana Snacks. Derek Brawley, who is right here with us. And make sure to email Friday Vibes, plural, 100 at gmail.com. And then Wade, I'm going to flip it back to you for our long-term sponsor. And who would that be?
That would be V-Driven. And I think if you scroll back in the chat, you can find all that good stuff as far as the link and as far as the contact information. And I had it open and it disappeared, but I'm picking it back up. Give me 1 second. So V-Driven, I'm just going to paraphrase Luke Abbott, Luke.Abbott, 2 B's, 2 T's at V as in Victor, driven.com. If you need help with deductions, if you need help with sales, if you need help with operations, if you need help with payroll, if you need help with accounting, there it's kind of like a la carte. You can go in and order what you want and they'll help you. And Luke is the kind of person you can have a conversation with, and he's going to be down to earth and shoot from the hip. And he's not going to make promises he can't keep. And he's only going to do what he says he'll do. So if V-Driven, VictorDriven.com, VDriven.com, Luke.Abbott at VDriven.com. If you have any issues, reach out to Alex or myself. We'll put you in contact. But I think if any of you know Alex and myself, we certainly are not going to refer you to someone that's going to steer you astray. We are scouring the entire continent for our admin. We would never put anyone upon our audience that isn't going to help them in some way, shape, or form. And Luke is that person. So I believe him as a person, both personally and professionally. Tal said it, he's legit. So if you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be happy to put you in contact. VDriven.com.
Cool. And just one more reminder to invest in Genius Juice. If you would like to and support us, we are launching in some retailers this year, some expansion, and we are also launching a new wellness shot line. So we're raising online. We're giving the power back to the people. I also want to say that I should have mentioned this, is that by also investing in us, there's certain levels of perks. If you invest a certain amount, you get free products, coupons, ongoing discounts on our website. So check it out. I posted the link there, republic.com/genius-juice 2. And thank you in advance for your support. Help us get to at least 10,000. We're at 2,400 right now when you go there. So we're already caught some early fire in the first couple of days of our crowdfunding campaign. And then just make sure to give us 5 stars. We've got 5 on it. Hopefully you do too. Apple Podcast. We're at 72 ratings right now. We can taste like the snow days. We can taste, or the, any of the Sundays, any of the brands that we mentioned, Nuffs. We can taste it. We're at 100. We're almost
well.
there.
And what I was going to say is, and I know we're extremely over right now, but what I was going to say is, we didn't get a chance really to plug who's going to be with us next week. And those of you who are still with us, those of you who are listening after the fact, Allison Kane with Haven's Kitchen is going to be our guest next week. And if you don't know Allison's story, if you don't know the product, if you haven't listened to her podcast, it's a great podcast. I've been on. Alex, I think you have too, right?
Yep. And the sauce.
I mean, it's her product is amazing. The podcast is fabulous. I think I'm really looking forward to next week's episode, just because there's so much value I feel that Allison has to offer with her product, with the road she's been on. She's in a difficult space. It's a refrigerated product. It's not cheap. So she has dealt with a lot of the challenges that our audience and potential audiences is dealing with, as far as battles with getting into retail and how do you move that product. So I'm looking forward to it. If you're still tuned in or listening, check out next week, because I think it's going to be a really great episode.
Yeah, she's incredibly bright. She's been doing this for 8-9 years, just like us at Genius Juice. And she knows what it takes to continue a brand, right? And never give up and keep pushing forward. And she's incredibly resilient. So we're excited to have her on. And all right, well, that's going to do it for episode 50 of Friday Vibes. No script, just chat. Everyone have a wonderful weekend. If you're in LA, have fun swimming across the city. I make that joke because I'm in LA as well. So Wade, love you, buddy. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Say hi to Renee for me.
Will do, buddy. Love you. See you next week.
Got it. Take care, everyone, and stay genius and keep the vibes.